Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do something that I didn't think we were going to do on this channel. We're going to touch Dan Schneider, the Dan Schneider story. We're going to talk about it. We haven't talked about it, I don't think at all. I think we made a couple of quips here and there, but everybody else is talking about Dan Schneider, a children's show producer, worked on like pretty much every live action Nickelodeon thing that was big. And they did a whole documentary on him called Quiet on the Set. And now he's suing the producers of this blowout, I guess.
For falsely implying he sexually abused child stars.
Yeah, he himself, now as I understand it, he himself did not, but he did enable.
Well, okay, from what I'm understanding, actually the kid's Pinky Boo should be one you should brought in for this. Because
she's like a walking encyclopedia.
The entire thing. I only watched parts of it. Yeah. I think the question with him had more to do with some of the girls like Amanda Bynes and stuff that they raised questions in the show. She wouldn't do the show. Now, when it came to the one guy from
was it Drake and
Drake and Josh Bell, when it came to him, it was somebody else that was on set that had caused him issues and had sexually assaulted him. Yeah. And he keeps doubling down that Dan Schneider was there for him and Dan Schneider never did anything to him. So he said that repeatedly in the documentary. But from my understanding, like a lot of it was more like a creep factor, like he was like tickling the iCarly girls or like sneaking up behind them. And you can see the guy that played her brother, that he was kind of like, you could see him insert himself or deflect or something to try to distract Dan Schneider to protect the kids.
Spencer, good guy, Spencer.
Yes, that's
yeah. Spencer, he actually seems like he looks like he could be Miranda Cosgrove's.
Well, they said that he got blacklisted pretty much after the show because he had said, he kind of stood in there and he had issues after the show, according to people involved in the special. But again, they're going to present a special for the streaming service, and they're going to present it from a certain angle. We saw the same thing with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, where they were deliberately trying to present a story as if these YouTubers did something bad and all this other crap, and they were like using their stuff without permission and all that. So it's all about what they want to accomplish and how they're going to push that narrative. So I don't know. I can't say one way or another because I don't know him. I know there's been talk about him for years.
There's been a lot of talk
with feet.
Yeah, there's been. I even noticed that like you watch the show, you start to see some running gags. It's kind of like, there's
a lot of pervy things, like
weird.
A lot of stuff with girls doing things that look like, jacking off somebody or spraying in their face and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, come on, these are kids. Yeah. What the hell? Why was that even funny? Why'd you think to put that in a kid's show?
Yeah. So and the shows were, some of them were a little more risque. I don't think iCarly is probably one of the more tame of the shows.
I didn't watch most of the shows. I knew iCarly though, and I knew Drake and Josh.
Yeah, so we'll talk about this because he's suing. And again, I don't know. I haven't watched it. I know that he did get ousted during Me Too, and there have been a lot of rumors about him for years. But, then again, Bryan Singer. Why is Bryan Singer still directing?
Well, we'll talk about the ousting in a minute. But before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do. Woohoo! I don't know if woohoos are appropriate for this video. Okay, so apparently at one point he was kicked off the sets, and they said that I think it was doing Sam and Cat and some other stuff. They said it was better, people were happier because he wasn't there. And apparently, according to the documentary, it wasn't just the weird creepiness, which they did have video, and you could tell that they weren't very comfortable with him doing it. Yeah. But there was also, I guess, he was the rumor reports was that he was abusive to people, expected you to come give him massages to the costume people.
That's weird. Yeah. Even with adults, that would be weird.
Yeah. And that he was like, I guess if you screwed up, he'd like mock you or fire you for screwing up. So people were afraid that they mess up. Like, I think it's like this guy got a complex that he thought he was like God.
Well, here's the thing.
Netflix, or Netflix, Nickelodeon God.
Nick God. So this is the thing. The guy he played the fat loser on Head of the Class. And then he winds up running all these kid shows, which were like crazy successful. I don't think anybody expected any of these shows to be as successful as they were. But then that like pretty much defined what Nickelodeon was. Like in the early 90s, it was the cartoon shows, right? It was like, Doug and Ren and Stimpy and all that. And then, then all these live action shows came out, and that kind of defined what Nickelodeon was. And he was in charge of most of them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All of them from the 90s to like 2000s. It was him. And, I can't confirm or deny anything that was in the video because I wasn't there. I'm just telling you what they said in the Quiet on Set documentary. Again, I understand that, people will skew things for narrative. So I don't know what's true, what's not. I'm not going to claim I do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what they presented in the show.
I know Melissa Joan Hart, because she was on, Clarissa Explains It All, but that she was in Florida. She said she was in Florida. She wasn't in California, but she said she did not have these experiences. But as I recall, her mom was her manager. That was like a big thing. Like her.
She also said she believed them, though.
Yeah, she said she believed them, but she said that she was in Florida, so she really couldn't back up. Like the Florida situation was way different than California.
Why I mean, why now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to say it didn't happen, why would they all get together to come out at him now?
Well, I mean, it's been,
if it's not,
Yeah, it's been kind of leaking out here and there. And I have to wonder if, what's her name? Sam, the actress played Sam.
No, in her book, she said stuff and she kept saying showrunner, and it was pretty much
that's what I'm wondering.
It was him.
I wish my
mom's dead or something.
Yeah.
I'm happy my mom's dead or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeanette McCurdy. It was I wish my mom was dead.
Or no, I'm happy.
I'm happy my mom was dead. I'm sorry. She wished her mom was dead. Then her mom died, and then she was happy about it.
It was like she was celebrating her mom being dead
because her mom apparently was kind of like pimping her out to Nickelodeon and like taking the money, and she didn't have a very good relationship with her.
But in the book, she made comments about the toxic environment.
Yeah,
and there was alluding to showrunner, and they're pretty sure that's what she meant him. And then when the Me Too thing in that book came out, that's when he kind of got booted from the set.
Yeah,
okay.
So I think that was kind of the first blow. Like I'm definitely not saying that she's making stuff. Like I don't think she was making stuff up. A lot of these child actors are, especially Amanda Bynes, are really, really messed up. Drake is really, really messed up. But so something definitely went down there. But
originally he apologized. They said after the series dropped, he apologized for his behavior that was depicted and vowed to hold himself accountable for how he acted on the shows. And he did a 19-minute interview and put it on YouTube. And he said it was very difficult and he's, embarrassed and he regrets it. And he owes people an apology. And then he went from that to I'm suing you.
I'm going to sue. Yeah. So it is
a little weird.
Let's talk about this Deadline article. Schneider wants the series to be held accountable in the lawsuit in which he filed against the producers and Sony Pictures and Mary Robertson and Emma Schwartz. He said the one-time hitmaker called the series a hit job that destroyed his legacy and reputation.
I don't understand. Why do you go from apologizing and saying, yeah, you did it, I'm sorry, I need to apologize to people, and now you're saying, it's not true, it was a hit job. I mean, I'm a little confused. Why apologize?
I don't know, because they did remove him back in like 2017 or 20, whenever Me Too was big.
Yeah, he was kicked off the set for like a year.
But most of those shows were over at that point. I think the only one that was still going was like Henry Danger. I think was
I guess the guy that played Captain Man, he would be on set watching over the kids, kind of like the guy that played Spencer did.
Okay, so that right there, I mean, that should tip you off. When you've got the adult actors on the set feeling like they have to step in and protect the children on the set, that's, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That shouldn't be the case at all. Now, the flip side is, and you said before that there were multiple producers there and whatever, but they're saying that I guess all these people were scared shitless of Dan Schneider because if he didn't like you, you'd get your ass fired. So they just kind of towed the line. But yeah, he said the limited series was a ratings boom for ID. Did reveal how 2 child sexual abusers did work on his shows. Mm-hmm. In Hollywood, oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
pedophiles working on kids shows in Hollywood?
Pedos in Hollywood?
What?
Dialogue coach Brian Peck and former production assistant Jason Handy. I can't even.
Peck and Handy.
Yes. But he claims in the suit that he had no knowledge of their abuse, not complicit in their abuse. Now, he did know after the fact about what happened to Drake Bell because Drake Bell said that, he asked him and he said, yeah, it was him. And, but he made it clear that, he never had anything from Dan Schneider himself that he kind of, backed him up. So that's just what he said about that. But when you see the stuff that was going on with him, it was more geared towards female cast members, apparently, allegedly.
Allegedly. So it said, no doubt defendants will endeavor to obfuscate what this lawsuit is about by pointing to what they did get right, and Schneider will be the first to admit that some of what they said is true. At times, he was blind to the pain that some of his behaviors caused certain colleagues, subordinates, and cast members. He will regret and atone for this behavior for the rest of his life.
How are you going to atone for it?
He's never going to work again, but one thing he is not, and one thing that will forever mar his reputation, both past and present, is being a child sexual abuser. So what he's alleging is because of this, people think he is the pedo, but what they're saying is that he let the pedo stuff go on. Is that correct? Is that?
I don't know. But here's the thing is like, I don't think he did know about some of it until after the fact. And the thing is just because I get where he's coming from then. Because if he really didn't do that kind of stuff, he doesn't want that associated with him. Like I'm admitting to the stuff I did do, but I'm not going to admit to that because I didn't do that. He did have some creepy stuff, but then again, it could have been like he was like tickling people and stuff, but it could have just been that he was kidding and didn't know boundaries.
So
he said he didn't do any child sexual abuse.
Okay, so I mean this is where I'm kind of like, I get that maybe you're working with these kids and you kind of. I don't think Steven Spielberg was tickling his child actors. I don't think he was like taking pictures of their feet. Call me crazy, but I don't remember Drew Barrymore being like, yeah, it was really weird. Steven just like called me up and said, hey, baby, you got any foot pics? And I know you're only like, 6 years old, but like I got some buyers here in Hollywood. Like, I don't think that was going on.
See, I didn't see the first couple episodes, and that was more to do with the female things and I guess that Pinky Boo was here. She saw it. She can give you more about it than I can. There was
some stuff like Victoria's especially was like more adult, I think, and there definitely was some.
Victoria Justice, I guess she said that she didn't have a lot of it because her mom was always there. Like her mom was always on set with her, making sure that she was watched over.
Oh, I guarantee you, like if by whatever miracle, like our kids would have wound up being child stars, I never would have left them alone on set. I would have been
it's horrible too because Drake Bell, I guess his dad like told his mom and him were divorced, and he told her not to let him anywhere near that guy, and the mom just did, and he was just in tears in the documentary because he tried to stop it. And no one listened to him. And he was actually on set, and I guess they made him leave because they said, you're being disruptive and stuff. According to Pinky Boo, I didn't see all that episode. But yeah, the stuff with Dan Schneider more had to do with, like, from my understanding, was that he was he created a toxic environment. He was one come up with these gags about spraying something in girls' faces and stuff like that, because he was writing the stuff. And apparently.
Wouldn't it be funny if you just, like, put some, like, he squirted some white cream all over her face and she's like 14. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
They did it.
I was just like, nobody, I guess my thing is like, again, I didn't watch this show. I've seen enough of these shows. Like our kids watch these comedies all the time.
Mostly
so I've seen
Sam and Cat, Victorious and iCarly.
Yeah.
And Drake and Josh.
Some Drake and Josh. That was kind of before their time, but like, we watched a lot, countless hours of iCarly.
And then what was the other one that we talked about a minute as Captain Man was in?
Henry Danger. We used to watch that one. So we watched
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we watch these shows with our kids. So and there were times. I mean, I gotta admit, there were times where I'd be like, that's a little weird. But I guess I'm like hearing about some of the stuff that went down on set. I'm like, on what planet do you as an adult feel that that's appropriate?
Well, they had what's her name that played Cat?
Ariana Grande.
Yeah. They had her trying to get juice out of a potato. She's squeezing the potato and shaking the potato with her mouth underneath it. Like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean,
why would
that show in particular? I think because they were dealing with like older teenage girls and stuff. It was like that one was a lot more risque, and that seemed like a lot of the ones that they're talking about banning the episodes or cutting parts out are from those shows. But he was running like every live action show. He's Ricky, Nikki, Dickie, Dawn, and Dickie, Louie, Huey, Dewey, and whatever the hell it's called. The kid.
Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn.
Dawn, yeah. These kids are supposed to be siblings and they look nothing alike. So it makes you wonder, like, what's mom been up to?
Well, then he said, recently, this is him, I guess, the docuseries Quiet on Set highlighted mistakes I made and poor judgment I exhibited during my time at Nickelodeon, most of which happened decades ago during my early career as a producer working on shows for Tolan Robbins Productions. There is no doubt that I was sometimes a bad leader. I am sincerely apologetic and regretful for that behavior, and I will continue to take accountability for it. Except iCarly, and then Sam and Cat, that was later.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so he's suing because he said it's taking people to... Okay, here he goes on. However, after seeing Quiet on Set and its trailer and the reactions to them, I sadly have no choice but to take legal action against people behind it. In their successful attempt to mislead viewers and increase ratings, they went beyond reporting the truth and falsely implied that I was involved in or facilitated horrific crimes for which actual child predators have been prosecuted and convicted. I have no objection to anyone highlighting my failures as a boss, but it's wrong to mislead millions of people to the false conclusion that I was in any way involved in heinous acts like those committed by child predators. I owe it to myself, my family, and many wonderful people involved in making these shows set the record straight.
Yeah.
I mean, if he didn't do that, that is... I mean, he's saying I did what I did, but I didn't do that.
Well, it means like for the rest of his life, then people are going to be like, oh, he's a pedo.
Oh, here, they're talking about it down here.
Yeah.
They said Ariana Grande squeezing a potato, pouring water on her chest and face, she did. Jamie Lynn Spears receiving a squirt of a liquid on her face.
So, okay, if that's the case, so did anybody ever see the Super Soaker, the Sliminator or whatever it was, Ousted?
Oh my God.
So
Can you pull that up?
Yeah, let's pull that up. Are we allowed to pull that up?
I don't know. If you're just doing you're just clipping it.
Sure. Yeah, so somebody back in the 90s, early 2000s thought this was a good look. Let's run this.
Oh my God.
This was an actual product, an actual commercial. Yes. Like, oh my God. So I wonder how many times they ran this commercial on Nickelodeon back in the day.
I don't know. But
it was like
a Mr. Bucket type scenario.
Well,
here.
okay, so Nickelodeon actually, it got its start because, I've been watching Nick since pretty much the beginning, and we used to watch You Can't Do That on Television.
Yes, I remember.
Which was a Canadian kids show, and then they brought it over here. Alanis Morissette, but they would dump slime on these kids. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the thing. And so then
they still do, I think, at the awards. They still dump slime on people.
Yeah, so sliming children became synonymous with Nickelodeon.
But the difference was, it was clearly like a big thing of slime, like, Double Dare and all that crap, like slime. That's different than like shooting a little bit of liquid on your face that looks like that. It's like large amount of slime.
What does it look like? What does it look like there, Geeky Sparkles? What are you implying? What do you think? It's just an innocent squirt gun that shoots white.
I saw it. It looked like it was a cum shot. It looked like spooge. You want me to say what it looked like? That's what it looked like. Sperm.
That's because your mind is in a dirty place.
Oh, no, it looked like that. Sorry.
Looks like.
What do you think about so fun about the Ousted commercial, Neon? What do you think it looks like? Why are you laughing so hard? What does it look like to you?
Elmer's glue.
Looks like
hair gel.
It looks like cum.
It looks like hair gel. Hair gel. Like you put in your hair.
Is that hair gel? Oh
to stiffen your hair.
It does look like hair gel. It does. Or like my one face wash cup looks like that too. And it actually is face wash. Before anybody makes comments. It's yeah.
Wait. Okay.
Cetaphil. It looks like
so
that.
they're talking about the teenagers, and they said that they're arguably sexual in nature, right? They said it's like, wait, there was a character. Oh my God, there was a character created for the Amanda show called Penelope Taint.
What?
Wait, okay. One example you see, Ariana Grande squeezing the potato, right? Okay.
That.
I was a kid, and so the humor, if you could call it humor, went over my head. She continued. This is Robertson. Yeah. One of these scenes featured teenagers that were arguably sexual in nature. They were made on sets with many adults around.
True.
Which adults said yes and which adults said no. Whereas a power dynamic at play. Continues Schwartz. I think perhaps the example that's most striking to me is the example of just the character Penelope Taint, which was a character that was created for the Amanda show. Yeah, Amanda Bynes is all kind of messed up at this point. Dan Schneider created the character, and he wanted to be named with a last name that was a vulgar word for a body part, and specifically told the writers, don't tell anyone.
Penelope Penis was, too on the nose. God.
Whoa.
You know?
When
Sometimes.
A little bit below the nose, but yeah. When someone from Standards came in, I questioned it. He said no and just flat out denied it. That was an example of both the power that was held, but also the way in which Standards felt there was clear intention behind the sexualization of children and programming on these sets. But they probably like, look, at the end of the day, Dan Schneider made them a shit ton of money. And I guarantee you, people turned a blind eye. They said, you know what? This stuff is better suited for Saturday Night Live, but we're going to let it slide because you're making us a bunch of money. That's exactly what's going on.
Somewhere between Saturday morning cartoons and Saturday Night Live, you'll find these shows.
So this person said, I think this for this top comment, I think what he's doing is right. He's taking accountability for his part, but also not letting them get away with slander. Maybe he shouldn't have hired sexual predators or created an environment where teenagers were asked to touch and massage him on set. That's weird. I'm sorry. Like, even
From my understanding, I didn't see the whole thing, but what I saw of it was like costume people were told to do it. I don't know if the kids were. I missed the whole first couple episodes.
Yeah, so
they never said he molested kids. Yeah, they never did say that. But they said that they had to give him, neck massages and crap and stuff like that. Yeah.
So this person said that they were actually interviewed off the record, anonymous. So just, take it for whatever it's worth. But said one thing I took from it was they were approaching it in a professional way and wanted factual info. What they were concentrating more on was an environment of abuse, as well as the sexual innuendo in his shows, which, yeah, it's there. The ID producers didn't encourage conjecture and they didn't want gossip. They wanted people's individual experiences. I chose not to be included because it wasn't something I wanted to do. If Dan Schneider was still working, I probably would have agreed to it because he doesn't deserve to work in this industry ever again. I don't believe he's a child molester, but he definitely has a perverted sense of humor and has no problem incorporating that into his shows. He explicitly wanted it there.
I do agree with that.
And he's beyond abusive to work for.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
That's what they were saying. Most of what I heard wasn't accusing him of doing things other than it's creepy he was doing this stuff. But they didn't say, oh, he, diddled children. The ones that did, they named them and then, and they did that. So
when's the Disney Channel version of this coming out?
I know, right?
Because I guarantee you the Disney Channel messed these kids up too, right?
There's no question.
Just look at Shia LaBeouf.
Well, I was going to say The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I know that they were talking about something that happened on that show, and like they wanted the one kid to make a fat joke about the girl playing his mom, and he refused to do it. And he said he wasn't going to do it until he rewrote it because he thought it was insulting and wrong, and they shouldn't be talking about her like that. And I was like, "Go kid!"
Yeah. I think Discovery is going to be interesting. I think he's probably looking for a cash out because I think the guy knows he's probably never going to work again. Because it's like you apply for a job. It's like, oh, Dan Schneider, you're the guy in that documentary about all the kiddie diddlin.
I'm agreeing. Discovery would be interesting. Yes. Are we gonna wrap this up?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. We haven't talked about this. I don't know. I don't think he was a kiddie diddler, but I do think he was creepy and it was inappropriate for a kid's show. And these kids are all kinds of messed up. But we'll see what happens. Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.